talks stuff. The dark side of modern relationships. You may not know them all. You may see them, and maybe you attribute it to other factors. But I'm here to assure you that the vast majority of the world's problems stem from hard women. Hard women create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Now, what would you call this look? Yeah, modern woman, right? The dark side of modern relationships come from a lack of respect. Respect is carried on from generation to generation. In the 60s, women thought they knew it all. These weren't young women. These were old, predominantly boomers, and up-and-coming early Gen Xers. But the modern feminist taught young women to ignore that the patriarchy was rape, exploitation, imperialism, and the cause of all the bad things in the world. Had nothing to do with the 7 deadly sins, right? No, pride. No. It was all about destroying the West. Modern feminism is a constant repeat of history. Women's ambition, collectivism, and the dark side of their actions carry out, not just for those who are feminist, but it affects everybody. It's created a dysfunctional society. Now, the modern society does have digital dysfunction. It's called phubbing. This is phone snubbing. This is predominantly young women who ignore everybody, particularly their partner, in favor of a smartphone. They're addicted to social credit. They want them likes. They want the attention. And as we've seen, we're increasingly seeing single mothers posing half naked, and they've got children in the photo. But no, social media does nothing whatsoever. It's also created comparison culture, though in reality there's always been comparison culture. Women have always tried to tear each other down and build themselves up through catty comparisons. And of course, you also have the fear of missing out, where the other side of comparison culture is that women who don't measure up are constantly comparing themselves to other women and trying to compete. And of course, women comparing men. It just goes on and on, right? Dick size, chest size, height. If someone's got something more than someone else, they want to try and merge everything into this equal outcome. But it's the paradox of choice. The more partners on the dating scene, the more miserable women have, because they always feel that there's something better. That there's always someone available for them. So they make it harder for the individual to commit, because they know how hard it is to get a woman and even harder to keep it. So more and more dissatisfied women are taking out their anger and frustrations on society, creating a perpetual loop in which many men go mgtow. But whether you're mgtow, red pill, or whatever, you still need to know that even if you walk away, society will keep trying to fight. As long as you're alive, society will try to exploit you, right? As long as there is feminism, they will try to exploit men through the government to take from you so that they can live their never-ending, dissatisfied lives of accumulation, right? They cannot be satisfied. And more people are waking up to the mental issues of modern women. Yeah. And of course, it does stem from sexual dysfunction, right? Sexually dysfunctional people, whether you want to believe it or not, it's a psychological disorder. Sexual dysfunctional people want to force you to pleasure them at your expense, right? Never ending dysfunction, never ending self gratification at the expense of family, friends. Uh, yeah, if they can't take it out on their partner, they'll take it out on their family. You know, uh, how many young men have had their lives destroyed by their mothers? You know, telling their friends what a loser you are. And I know someone's going to clip that and say, "Ha ha, Dave, you hate your mother." No, actually, I have a pretty pleasant mother. I am talking not from personal experience here. Most men do, however, do have a dysfunctional mother. Could you imagine the poor kids these days with this poor mother? Of course, most of these women produce uh, offspring of color so that they can be uh, progressive. You know what she needs, don't you? Of course, uh, one of the forefronts. Now, I would say it's not just Japan, of course, but Japanese anti-feminism, right? The memes are flowing, the debate is growing, and increasingly conservative Japan is saying that women will fall on the roadside, right? And this is a phenomenon that happens in the West sometimes too, although not these days. Women will fall on the roadside in front of a rich man with a nice car to be rescued. Now, of course, rich men are ever increasingly single, and ever increasingly, when they do encounter these women, they will stand over them and call psychological services for support and say how they don't measure up to her they're afraid they won't measure up to her standards, and if they could help this poor young lady out. You know what she needs, don't you? You know what she wants, right?
Right turn, Clyde.
Now, you imagine, right? This is all the result of modern feminism, raising your kids to be perpetual activists, to narcissists who think they have to uh, be a hero. You know, so they create these narratives in their head that they're going out to save the world from the bash the fash. How and they do. They surround police cars and bash. But of course, if you go through it, you know. Oh yes, you know. Protesters drag people out of their cars. They beat them. Right now, this is a good one. Standard equipment. The those who don't know the speed racer. Yes, standard equipment. Know your pedals. School zone, and right. And of course, allowed. It's your duty. Right, Scoops. The Hasbro Peaceful Protest Action Set. But you know what's wrong with these people, don't you? Yes, single mothers.
Emotional, damn it!
Hey, Johnny, John. Add me up in a Discord. Hold on. Right. Hold on. Is that D Matrix? Right. Discord. Yeah, I'm just opening Discord. Add friend. I'm looking for you now. You still there, D Matrix? Wait. Yeah, D. Um, 9. Yeah, all right. D Matrix 9. All right, sent. All right, I sent it. All right. Yeah. On studio. Yeah, these people severe single mother syndrome.
Emotional,
Right? Main
damn
character
it.
syndrome. Yeah, they think they're the main character, but you all know what happens, right? Eventually, relationships will break down. Let me cover some of the things that women do to drive you out of a relationship. Deception, personality deception. Women know they have dark traits. They know they're narcissists. They're Machiavellian and sadistic. And so they use dating platforms to seek material benefit, sexual gratification, or social approval, rather than a deep, meaningful social connection with an individual. So they will hide and misrepresent their personality as bright, bubbly, not like the other women. They will often be very quick to be sexually promiscuous. They'll lie about their age, appearance, or social status. A lot of them are fraudsters. A lot of them are seeking men of high, sometimes women of high value, simply to for that instant divorce. They will. The four horsemen of the relationship, of course, is constant criticism, contempt, uh, always defensive, and always stonewalling. Right. Key factors include a lack of sensitivity to your needs, abrupt termination or ghosting, broken promises when they don't. Oh, yeah. So they ghost you when they don't get their way. They want you to beg. They want you to do meet their ever increasingly insane demands, sometimes for shits and giggles. Infidelity. In order to satisfy their needs, they and cope with and this we've seen this with war, where in order to hurt someone, you demonize them, right? You don't want to form emotional attachments. And the way women don't form emotional attachments is by having promiscuous sex with people they would not have a relationship with, right? The worst of the worst, right? They want the thrill, the danger, the excitement, but they also don't want the social responsibility. So they go after transgressors, uh, people of low social status, people of low intelligence, and they will often snub good people in order to feel better about themselves because they want to feel that you're not good enough, that they are superior to you. So they create the friend zone. A lot of this is because of safety and psychological stress. Women uh, psychologically stress themselves all the time about safety and the fear of constant sexual harassment, unsolicited responses to their behavior. Yet women put themselves on display knowing that they will provoke a response, right? Men are geared to certain responses, right? Men, right? You see this, particularly young girls, will go around pointing out men who have an erection simply to social shame them. I don't know why they think it's funny. It's a physiological response to visual stimulation, right? Most men by 18 to 35 will have a spontaneous erection sometimes for no reason, right? It's your body. It doesn't obey you half the time. It's but progressive bias, right? women don't want to understand men. They want to change society. So they believe they have to change you, control everything to feel safe, right? So they have a progression bias, right? They want to progress society towards a safer and better outcome. And because they are, now it's the Cunning-Duga effect. They're too stupid to know they're wrong. They're too stupid to figure out they're wrong. They're too stupid to, too proud, well, too stupid, that when they finally realize they're wrong, it's too late. They don't care. It's the 64. It's the 80-20 rule, right? Modern observation that if 80% of the people are unproductive, right? Less than the average is, it's not well spread out, right? 80% of society are underproductive, right? Over half, right? When you look at men, right, you can see the spread, right? There's more high end men. There's an equal number of high end men to low end men, and a spread in the middle. So you look at it, right? Half of the men are average, half of the men are not, right? And only a few. So half of the men are productive, and a quarter more are overproductive. Whereas women, it's smaller, right? There's smaller amount of women at the top end and a smaller amount of women at the bottom end, but the vast majority of women are average. So yeah, there's going to be more underproductive women than men. And then you've got to consider the fact that 31% women on average are 31% less productive than men. So you'll get from 3% less productive, you'll get from 1% less productive to 3% less productive, quickly to 31, and then it gets worse. So you will find, right, that the vast majority, right, as soon as they're unhappy, as soon as they are emotionally drained, or they don't get their way, it's over, right? Now, it wasn't always like this, right? Social pressure was obligation, right? You lived for obligation to your friends, your family, when you gave your word, you had to keep it. If people who did not keep their word were socially ostracized, right? Villages. But the problem was, as more and more people were thrown out of villages, what happened? Cities grew, right? People would flock to the cities because that's where the soldiers were, the single men. The king's army was well known, right, throughout history, that armies, right, standing armies, were often unmarried men, right? When men got married, they had to get permission, and usually it was only for officers. And why was that? Because the king ran most of the single women as whores. And in fact, the majority of the time it was the queen who was the madam. This is the unwritten reality, right? This is where the knows, where the vizier, the advisors, the hooked-nosed crooks would run behind the scenes: brothels, prostitution, and drugs, right? Endless wars, weapons smuggling, spying, espionage, all the way back to the Roman Empire. It's always been, always will be a problem until we reconcile our beliefs and go have a reset and go, wow, this is why kings expelled all these people. They were never our friends, and they never will be our friends. But you'll never ever see a strong, independent woman in a divorce court. Right? Feminism. I don't. Yeah. It's always the victim. Johnny Depp. Yeah, however, he picked Amber Heard, right? So, yeah, his judgment. Yes. When women go to court, judges side with the woman, right? It's the social, you go back all the way through old movies. You're going to take good care of my daughter. The precious daughter, like treating your daughters like it's where feminism started, treating daughters like they were crystal vases, right? But really, they just wanted to get rid of their unwanted daughters because, right, rich people didn't want their daughters around, right? Women are 50-50 in a relationship. Yeah. Puke. Women in a 50-50 divorce. Hurrah! Schrodinger's feminist. Victim and empowered. Yep. Whatever gives them the most. Whatever gives them the most. Most people know the dark side, experience it, and it's growing, not just in the West. It's spreading like a cancer worldwide. Middle East, Africa, Asia, particularly. That's right. We have feminism in Japan, feminism in Japan, Korea. We have Iran, right? Though the Iranian Revolution more and more is becoming about all these single young men, right? They're obviously tired, right? Most people are tired of feminism.
Screw your feminism.
Because everybody knows.
You ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, if you're not the first to a woman, you're last place. Okay? And you know it. Women don't want to admit it. But as soon as they've got their first load in them, right? And they're on for the next, they're always chasing that fresh feeling, and they'll never get it, right? They'll never be fresh. They'll never be satisfied. If they can't be satisfied with the person that gave them their first load, they'll never be satisfied. Now, some women, of course, will make you feel, and you always see this, right? You've seen all this relationship stuff played out in dramas. Every year there's an article about, polygamy, how, trad wives and all these different alternative relationships. They never follow them for a long time. Sister wives. As soon as the ratings were down, they all went their separate ways. It was all for show, right? Most of these traditional relationships are just sometimes, this is why 50% of marriages fail, right? And 50% of marriages fail, but the vast majority fail because of women. There is no satisfying women, right? So maybe, right? So why are more men going mgtow than if 65% of men are estimated to go mgtow? Right? You look at it, right? If only 50% of relationships are going to end in divorce, right? Then why not get married? I mean, why? Right? When it's just you get married, breaks out, didn't work out, the next marriage will. You've only got a 50-50. Well, and yeah, but the thing is, you're not getting a relationship. You're getting a house pet. Okay? You're getting someone who is going to ignore you for the phone, someone who is going to sadistically ruin your life, right? If they don't get their way, they're only in it for the material benefits, right? They're constantly misrepresenting who they are. You're most likely being catfished, scammed, and cheated on, right? And, right, 20% of all women, right, are going to, 40% of all women are going to cheat. Half of them are going to have children with someone else, right? And that is a rising number, right? So the cost, right? If the men go, well, if I got a 50% chance of being cheated on, and I've already had and I've already had 6 girlfriends or 5 girlfriends, or right, what's the point? Obviously, the statistics are wrong, right? In the eyes of most men, statistics are wrong, right? That they're misrepresenting, right, what is really happening. They're not counting the hidden divorce, right? The men who sleep alone for the rest of their lives while their wife parties and comes home late, right? They're not counting the number of women who who want the benefits of marriage and have sex less than once a month, right? There is no point in a relationship when there is no benefit. Even if she's not going to divorce you, what's the point of being in a relationship when it's costing you thousands of dollars to get a $50 blowjob or $50, but you know what I mean, right? Women are expensive, but you know what I mean, right? You're getting overcharged for a person who is not making you a sandwich, right? Not going to bring you a cold beer, is going to run up your electricity bill, going to spend most of the time watching bullshit on TV. Most of the time, she's going to be sexually gratifying herself with a dozen different things that you can't compete with because they're bigger, harder, last longer, right? So, what is the point? When most of the time, you can satisfy yourself. And as for having children, women don't want your kids. Women don't. They only used kids to get you to take care of them. They don't see the benefits of family. They only see self gratification. Men betrayed other men. That's the reality. The 50% who are out there getting married, right? They're betraying you. They created drama and continue to create drama so that they have a wide selection of all these desperate women, right? Because let's face it, look at all the loopholes that rich men create for themselves. They get so rich they don't care. They see it as oh, look at this money, like they know, right, that they fund these feminists to destroy society because they see small family businesses go under, their businesses grow. They see it as the cost of wealth, right? To have a toxic wife, right, is seen as the cost of wealth. And they know they're going to get divorced, but they've factored in divorce into their deranged thinking. So most men, until you can say to a woman, should have nothing to do with a woman unless you can stand up to one. If you've got the power, the social credit, the standing to tell her no, to tell her to shut up, to not be beholden to her, to be able to walk away, then of course, right, don't have a relationship unless you can walk away from it. Right? The only power you have is when she has no power over you. Right? Because women can't stand it when they are unimportant. Break them. Right? Women have to be broken. Right? It's like anything. A wild animal is worthless. Right? If a woman isn't disciplined, isn't focused, is insecure, she's a net liability to you for the rest of your life. It's like a riding horse. If you can't break a riding horse, it's no good to you. Right? And that's a fact. Right? A man benefits from having a wife. A wife doesn't benefit from having a man. Right? That's a fact. Right? Women see no benefit, have no benefit. Right? They destroy themselves for when they get in a relationship, they destroy themselves with envy, greed, until social changes, right? The modern women have no benefit because they create their own psychological mess, right? And until we destroy the the corrupting factors of society. Now, I'm not going to say Jew, but someone in the comments will say it. And it's up to you whether or not you believe that all these feminist organizations like Code Pink and all that are funded by George Soros and others who deliberately destroying society, right? Right? You look at George Soros. He dates 18-year-old Brazilian models, and every year he trades them in. One sued him for $20 million, and he laughed at the court. He laughed, right? That when you finally are broken free, right, and discover the fact there is no such thing as a strong, independent woman, but a agent of the state, right? That the state is corrupt. The state sees you as a pawn to be manipulated, and the state is nothing more than the corrupt tool of the. And I'm not saying all rich men, because 80 by 2035, 80% of the wealth will be in the hands of women. Unless the rich men won't stop marrying women and giving them wealth, because they see it. They see these manipulative see you next Tuesdays as the pathway to wealth. Rich men didn't get rich on their own, right? They have social networks. They have clubs. They have the old boy networks. They have, but more and more you see it, like with Code Pink, where feminists tear down and destroy and are tools of destruction. They are weapons of mass destruction, and society's paying the price of weak men who chase votes. Right? Democracy is always going to be like that, right? I forget who said it, but it was said as soon as people start voting in self-interest, the democracy's over. So thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and please support the channel. Hopefully you'll understand why, right? Now, I don't say that you have to be mgtow, but why 65% of men, whether they like it or not, will be by 2035, right? It's not a matter of if. For most men, it's not going to be a choice, right? And by 2050, there won't be enough women, population over, and the government by then will most likely realize that they've made huge mistakes. But by then it's too late, right? They've commoditized breeding. They've commoditized relationships, right? Already we're seeing this around the world, where China is setting up breeding farms. Korea is setting up artificial wombs. The world is heading towards a technological dystopia. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy merch. All my links in the link tree description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.